Hello, and welcome to another episode of the M42 Adventures podcast. I am your host, Rick Trimmer, and we are on a roll here. This is, I think, our 6th episode coming out, and today we have a gentleman by the name of Kerry Burner. I'm not sure exactly how I met Kerry, how I got in contact with him, but long story short, he is the gentleman who we are partnering with to do our UTV experiences here in Utah and at my parents' ranch, as well as the 3-4 night overnighters out in the wilderness of Utah. So today we are going to be talking about how he started the business, how he got into it, the pitfalls and some of the things that come with starting your own business. A lot about obviously UTVs and what they are, brands, price points. I mean, we really dive into, if you want to get into the UTV world, what to look out for, what is available out there. And, and then basically why he started it, started the businesses, the wanting to take people out and show them, this world of UTVs and where you can get where cars and, larger vehicles will not go. So it's going to be a great conversation. I'm excited about this one. He's a great person, and we're going to jump right into it. So let's get started. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good.
You just come over from Apple Valley?
Yeah, Apple Valley, and then just spent the weekend with the family out doing a little adventure, Coral Pinks, checking out a slot canyon that back in my dirt bike days we went out and found, and I haven't been to for it's probably been 12 years.
Oh, that's funny. I went to, I was telling you before we started this that I was at that Order Man event up in Pine Valley, and he had on the agenda, which I didn't know, was a hike in Snow Canyon.
Very cool.
And I says, what are we doing out here? And he says, we're going to go to the lava caves. And I'm like, dude, I used to go to these all the time in high school and a little bit in college. And so we went over to those, and it was cool, man. I haven't been in them for 15 years.
Yeah, a while.
It's cool when you go back to something that...
I got to ask you, Snow Canyon, I heard they changed some stuff out there. Is it
I didn't notice
that part? Or is
no, I didn't notice. We just came in from the north entrance and drove a mile in, but I think more of the improvements have been down through the park.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it was the same from what I remember, but it was cool. It was cool, man. It's nice to go out there and go to some of the places that you went long time ago and just kind of the nostalgia. We used to take girls out there to the caves and scare them. And,
yeah.
And it was really cool to be down in there again and experience that. So did you find the slot canyon?
We found it. It was a little further than I thought. I mean, on a dirt bike, you cover ground pretty quick.
Oh, is that what you were on? You're on dirt bikes?
No, the first time I went and did it. This time it was like, I know it's right here somewhere. It looks a lot different. They blocked some stuff off. So got the family out of the rig, out of the side-by-side, and we went on a little journey. And 6.2 miles later, round trip,
wow.
We did it. And pregnant wife and everything.
That's
was a trooper.
Awesome. That's cool. Is that out by Coral Pink or where?
Yeah, Coral Pink, and it's an unmarked one. So
that's
everybody's
cool.
kind of asking, where is this? Where is this?
Yeah,
we're slowly releasing stuff.
Yeah, so I wouldn't tell them,
No, we're going to keep that one off the
good.
map just
good.
because, when people find out about stuff, it can just draw attention and ruin stuff.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I need to go out there, so I have my cabin out there.
Oh yeah,
just bought it a couple years ago. I've gone to Coral Pink a little bit back in the day, not much. I used to hunt out there at the sands. Yeah, mule deer out there. But I need to. I want to go out there and explore more. Now that I have so property out there. You got Canaan Mountain?
Yeah, you're at Canaan right there.
Yeah, it's right there, and everybody tells me there's an old log mill up there on the top, and an old trailer that somebody drug up there, and just.
There's a lot to see up there.
They closed a lot of that off, though, right?
They did. It's just wilderness study stuff, so you can still get in there. You just can't access it, by
motors, right?
Motor vehicle.
Yeah, you have to walk.
Just walk.
Yeah.
So. Which is kind of nice because then when you get there, it's all you're all to yourself unless somebody else has hiked in. So.
Yeah. I wanted to talk today. So basically, obviously, you were at our event about a week ago, and with M42 Adventures, what our purpose is we're bringing out people to introduce them or even carry their knowledge if they have some knowledge. Just we're going to have different events and different experiences that will take you from either no experience to experience or experience to more experience. And I wanted to have you come on because you own Ready to Rides, right?
I do, yeah.
And you own UTV overnights.
Yeah.
And so we've partnered, and you're going to be doing our events. And you did ours a week ago at my parents' ranch. And, the purpose of this company, again, is to get people, it's not just to have them come out and hop in a side-by-side and drive in a circle, for 10 minutes and say, oh, I did it. Or, hop on a horse and ride it in a circle. We want to, run them through all of the processes and everything about it. Which at our events, people come out, they're going to have hours in the car and, with you as an instructor on all those things. So what I kind of wanted to get from this podcast is that people who are listening, and we're going to have, at our events, we have fly fishing, we had UTVs, we had horses, we had archery, we had guns, firearms, survival, hiking, right? All these different things. And so I'm going to bring people on that that are specialists in their field. I was actually just at this event again at Ryan's event up right after mine. And there was 25 men there. It's men only. Obviously, ours is men, women, children. We had families there. We had single women, single men, whatever. So he had 25 men up there, and they were asking a lot about, how do you start a business? They're very intrigued on, this is my 12th business that I've started. And so they're very intrigued on, how that happens. And I told them, listen, I know the fundamentals of business. I know cash flow and funding and marketing and, those things. The podcast, I don't know. That's why I have Ricky here. I don't understand UTVs. I've ridden in them, but I don't understand them. And that's where I hire people like you and partner with you, to come out and teach these experiences with us. And so I've got kind of a list of questions that I've had a few of our listeners, send in to me, that I told them that we were going to be doing this podcast today. And basically the purpose of this podcast is to get people who don't understand anything about a UTV or have a little bit of experience and, get them further down the road.
Love it. Yeah.
So let's go into a couple things real quick. So you were a mechanic, right?
Yeah.
Are a mechanic. You didn't stop being one, but that was your day job.
Yeah, still kind of is, to be honest with you. The UTV thing is just, I call it a hobby because it's not self-sufficient. We're still having to turn the wrenches. And I love that aspect too, because, that makes me a better person, to where as new things come out, I'm always educating myself. So I'm not completely left in the dark on these new products because there's so many manufacturers coming out with so many great products that it's just hard to keep up on them. So
do you work mostly on UTVs? Is that what you do?
Mostly UTVs now. A lot of dirt bikes growing up, and early in my career, tons and tons of dirt bikes. Quads were really big back then. And then, the old Yamaha Rhino came out and kind of changed the game.
That's what I have. That's actually what I own, know.
And super reliable rigs. That's why you still see them. They're like the Toyota of, the side-by-side world. They're just
I love it.
Still going.
It was my grandpa's, and I think it's got like 700 or 800 miles on it. It's that, brushed aluminum finish,
the limited edition brushed aluminum, with the piggyback shocks. It's a rare one to have.
Is
Pretty
it?
cool.
And it's like, it's brand new. It's got like 700 or 800 miles on it, if that, I think. And he just had it garaged forever.
Awesome.
And I was able to purchase it when he had passed away from the family, and it's more sentimental to me than anything. But
yeah, they're good rigs too. I tell people for a hunting rig and stuff, because there's good to ride in. They're small. You can put them in the bed of a truck. So anyways, the Rhino still has a place out there, which is pretty odd for something that dated. But so mechanicing just keeps me up to date with all that stuff. I graduated from MMI, which is the Motorcycle Mechanic Institute, shortly out of high school, got degrees with Honda, Yamaha, came down and worked here for Stephen Wade Power Sports way back in the day when, that was up and going, got Can-Am certified. And just really dove really deep into that. But the funny thing is before I actually went to school, it was just something, an email address, and it was extreme.tours@yahoo.com. And that was something where a bunch of buddies of mine, we used to go on these dirt bike adventures and ATV adventures and stuff. And so I always had that in the back of my mind as something I wanted to do was, be able to bring people together, and we do destination rides and overnight rides and stuff like that. And really in the back of my mind, I've always had that. And everybody that's talked to me, they're like, when are you going to do that? When are you going to do that? And I'm like, so busy mechanicking and building that business that kind of got put on the back burner. And then, COVID kind of came around and lit a fire up under my butt as, it's a now or never thing. And, I just kind of took that and I was already working on other tour company stuff. And so kind of knew the operations, and a good buddy of mine let me come in and do some tours, just get my feet wet type thing. See, if I liked being around people, the, aspect of everything, the guiding, the whole enchilada, I guess you could say. And I loved it. And so we decided to just peel off some time and really start attacking that business. And it's going. We're in year 2, and it's been a big learning curve because the mechanic business, I was, not to toot my own horn, but I was so good at it. And I mean, I'm not the best, but I'm just really good at it. And so word of mouth spread, you get all these local people that just, once that spreads, it's just organic business that comes towards you. This other business, it's a lot more competitive. There's tons of companies around here doing stuff. And I could just rent my machines out on the corner and, do that kind of thing. But the thing that I like most about taking people out is we go to these areas that are so special. And I've been to them maybe 100 times or more, some of these areas. And it never gets old for me, because when somebody new comes in and sees that or experiences that, it just like reignites, my first time I've saw it. And so it's super special to me to be able to share that with people. And even just this weekend, I mean, we were out at the Coral Pinks, we did an overnighter with a smaller group and intimate setting and stuff. And it was super cool because we just got to be ourselves and, be out there. And it was just really fun. Like my boys, I got a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old, and they kept saying, Dad, when are we going to go? When are we going to go? And we got lucky enough that, on this one, we were able to get together as a family and kind of go out and do that and camp in an area that, I mean, you're surrounded. You take the UTV into an area that you're not going to get to unless you really have one or a Jeep or something. And we got there and no one's there. It's not like you're camping right next to somebody. So to wake up in the morning, it's just birds are chirping and stuff like that. My kids just get to totally be in their own element, off electronics, which is awesome. So yeah, it was an awesome experience.
I think that's, I have on here, to get to the basic, it's like, what is a UTV? Some listeners, they're
I don't know.
New York or, LA or somewhere where they just, haven't been, they're in the city.
That's a good question.
It's kind of funny.
You need to probably define that a little more.
I have people who are like, UTV, what's that? And, they're like a 4-wheeler. And I'm like, that's an ATV, and so
it's a big brother.
Yeah. So 4-wheelers were popular back in the day. That's a 2-seater, 1-seater, smaller machine.
Yep.
The UTV is, you describe it better than I can.
Yeah,
it's
UTV
a small car,
side by
right?
side. Yeah. Just, you see them. Everyone calls them Razors now. They're like, I want to take your Razor
which is
out.
a brand.
Which is a brand.
But they were they probably still are the biggest, aren't they?
It
Polaris.
went from Rhino to Razor. It's kind of funny. Everyone thought they were Rhinos for a while, and then Razor came out. So
Yeah, and there's 2-seaters.
Yeah, 2-seaters and 4-seaters. They've got 6-seaters
now.
now.
6-seaters.
Yeah,
I mean, you can get. That's what I'm looking at. I've got a family. I've got 3 kids, and we're trying to have another one. And
awesome.
I told my wife, I'm like, man, we got to get a 6-seater. Really, that's getting up there, But I've looked at some of the models, and they're awesome.
Yeah, we can convert even like my X3s, the Can-Am X3s I have, which are 4-seater. We can convert those into a 6-seater.
I saw your post on that, and I actually commented and said, I think I said this is awesome because I didn't realize that you could, But that's for a growing family. It's like you buy this because. That's what happens a lot of times. You buy a 2-seater and then it's like you outgrow it, or a 4-seater and you outgrow it. And it's like, so a UTV is basically like a small car, right? It's just a little bigger than a 4-wheeler, smaller than a Jeep.
Yeah.
They fit into tight places. You can take them anywhere. And so people who don't understand that, like I said, most of our listeners might have an idea of that, but I wanted to go over that. And then again, there's how many types and brands. I mean, I was just looking up some questions to ask you, and it was there was a cat one. And I'm like, I didn't know cat.
Yeah.
You know, Caterpillar made of, you know, and I'm like,
John Deere, you know, Masimoto. There's all these other brands. People are asking me about them. I'm like, I've never even heard of that.
Yeah.
You know? So it's something I'm trying to keep current on.
Yeah. And that's, you know, for people who are wanting to get into this, I have a buddy who called me from San Diego a couple of weeks ago, and he's like, man, I'm looking at a side-by-side UTV, right? They're both the same. Mm-hmm. And he's like, what would you get? And he's like, what brand? And I'm like, here we go. You know,
I get that question
and you know, a lot. Yeah, because I saw you came up to ours. Are yours Can-Am?
Yeah, mine are Can-Ams.
And so, you know, I says honestly, I'm not the guy to ask. First of all, I says I'm not the guy to ask. When I was looking at them, I went up to a business in Richfield was where I was at. I was just on a road trip and stopped by there.
Probably Jorgensen's.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was just, you know, I went in and I says I want something that seats 6, and I want it enclosed. You know, I'm obviously there's the benefits of having the, you know, I understand, you know, the wind in your hair, and that's a whole different experience when you can smell the, you know, the fumes and the dirt, and you know, that's for that. That's like a sport or a, you know, adventure type, and it's like I want that, but I also want the convenience of heat and air conditioning for my little babies and my wife, and so there's enclosed cab ones now that are.
You got to really, when they ask that question, what are you using it for? Because they're so. When people ask me that, that's the first thing I say. There's like, I want the most reliable. It's like, well, you don't really. You got needs that it's got to do, like what you're talking about.
Yeah, how many are you trying to seat? What, you know, do you want? You know, I actually rode in one that was, I didn't even really know much about them. I was in my Rhino and had a buddy come up in some Polaris. I can't remember, but it had a cab. And
Ranger Expedition.
Yeah, maybe it's a Ranger, And I rode in it for a little bit, and I'm like, man, you can hear everybody talking, you can hear the radio, you can turn the heat up and down.
Yeah, air conditioner going.
And I'm like, man, this is pretty cool. You know, as you get older, you know, younger, I wouldn't have wanted that. So I think you got to identify what your needs are. Like you're saying, research it, and there's so many different brands, but the popular ones, Yamaha's got to be the biggest, right?
Yeah, Yamaha's. I'll be honest with you, Polaris is.
I mean Polaris,
Polaris.
Polaris.
Yamaha's big. Honda's got some.
Yeah, the Razor, Polaris, really Rangers, all those.
Yeah, the two in the game are Can-Am and. In my opinion, Polaris that are playing, you know, for our area, and you know, we got recreational style riding, I'd say. So those are our two big players that are really head to head against each other. Okay.
So and then the other thing is cost, right? Yeah. Like price. I mean, they're expensive, man. It shocked me. I've got a Jeep Gladiator, you know, a couple-year-old Jeep Gladiator in the parking lot that's, you know, I paid $45,000 for, and I'm like, that's a big purchase for a, you know, a vehicle. And then I go to Jorgensen and I'm like, hey, how much are these? And they're like, they're $40,000, $45,000. And I'm like, man, dude, that's another vehicle, you know? Yeah. And so, and then that's, you know, from what I understand, I mean, and then you have, that's the base, you know, they were telling me most of the guys that
another 20 if you want a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So you got to look at your budget, what you're kind of wanting to do it for. 2-seaters are obviously cheaper than 4-seaters. The cabs are probably going to be more than the non-cabs, to stuff like that. Is that correct?
Yeah, for sure. Well, and then, you know, you've got that air conditioner and all the heat and all this other stuff going on now too. And I mean, there's some really cool stuff Polaris is doing with their Expedition where, I mean, we went out to the Grand Canyon and guys are, you know, like you said, rolling with their family. Yeah. And I saw baby seats there with 3 kids in the back, and I'm like, that looks pretty awesome. Yeah. But then you look at things like the fuel mileage they're getting with that setup now is 10 to, you know, maybe 15 miles a gallon. Well, you know, Can-Am gets 15 to 20 on that same type of ride. So you've got to weigh it all out. We do bigger rides that, you know, you're out for 2 to 5 days, and there's not gas stations everywhere.
That's a good point.
We don't pack a bunch of fuel on some of these other rides. I mean, we still can base stuff, but it's just nice. We need to have machines that, you know, will do 150 miles, you know, on a tank.
Yeah.
If yours can't do that, then we've got to come up with other stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point.
To make that, bridge that gap.
Yeah, so really sit down and look at what you need, what your budget is, what your needs are, seating capacity.
Accessories too.
Yeah.
Some of them have a lot of accessories, and other ones it's like, man, I can't get this for this one. You know, that might rule that out. So
if you want a winch, or I mean, I'm sure you can tack a winch on most of them. But some of the other stuff.
And it's all becoming there's a lot of competition now. I mean, everybody sees the shift and everything, so you can pretty much get what you need to now. But back in the day, there was, tracks might be for one machine, snow tracks, and then not for another one. It's like, well, I was planning on using this to get up to my cabin. I can't.
That's when I went into Jorgensen. I said, I want one that can have tracks, because I've got a cabin with a steep hill that, if there's snow. And so that's a good point. Yeah. I didn't realize you kind of, I think when people get into a lot of this stuff, and that's why we're having this podcast, it's, you get into archery. It's like, I just go grab a bow, I pick it off the shelf and go hunting a deer. And it's like, man,
yeah, this is a big
there's
enough
draw length, there's poundage, there's, there's so many variables that, can change what you want to buy,
when you really dive
because if you're spending 20 to 40, 50 grand on a toy, in essence, I mean, a lot of them, my parents have one for their farm that's utility, but yeah, if you're spending 20, 30, 40 grand on a toy, you want to make sure you do your research. And so I'm glad you brought some of those things up, because you think about gas mileage as far as I want to save money, but I don't think about it as far as, I want to go on a 100-mile ride to the, to the edge of the Grand Canyon.
Is it going to make
it? Is it going to make it? Or I'm going to pack fuel. 10 gallons of fuel, which is going to take the space of food,
right?
Tents, things that you would not account for. And so, yeah, that's interesting.
Added weight too, up high where, most people put it on the cages. I mean, there's companies that make stuff everywhere. I mean, you can put fuel under the seats and all over the place, but it's still stuff. Do I have to plan on another $800 in a fuel cell under the seat to be able to do this kind of stuff? So
yeah, and like you said, I've been to Moab a couple times and done the trails there, and you throw an extra 100 pounds on the roof, that can change what trail you can go up. Because now you might 100%. Come over backwards, or it can't get up. We went and did Pritchett Canyon. I wouldn't want to do that with.
I'm glad you kind of brought this up, because this is something me and my wife were just talking about, because we've talked, like, you've seen our rides now. So a lot of people look at them, they're like, why would you do that to one of those? I get that question a lot. And, part of the reason is
do what?
Do like put a roof rack or, really make it into an overland rig, I guess is what I should say, because it's a sport. Side by side.
Yeah, that they can go race it, go to the sand dunes, buzz around. Why do you have all this weight?
Why are we doing it with that specific model? There's a Polaris makes some, even Can-Am makes a Defender, there's other models, but the versatility of some of the machines outweighs, I can be at the sand dunes one day doing a tour just for a day group, and then the next day we can load it up with our overnight gear, and we've taken into account all the weights and different things because of insurance purposes that we, have to stay under a certain weight to be able to take people out. Otherwise,
interesting. I didn't know that.
There's a max vehicle weighting or rating, and our insurance doesn't let us exceed that because it can change handling characteristics and, those load capacities all come into play. So just because it looks cool and I want it doesn't mean I get to go out there and put it on my machine, because it could exceed.
Becomes dangerous. You put 200 pounds on the roof.
Yeah, you're not going
to. You're overloaded.
Yep, you're going to be top heavy. People are going to be rolling.
Yeah, turnover on a turn or things like that. It's interesting.
Something you might not think about, to take into account. I want all this stuff on there, but is it practical for what I'm doing?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because I've seen some of your photos and you have like tents on the roof.
Yeah,
that's I knew they have them for Jeeps and vans and stuff, but that's cool that they actually make them for side by side.
Yeah, so this company actually, I guess if we want to go off on a little tangent there, but I'll give them a plug. So C6 Outdoors makes a Rev tent, and I've spent probably 90 nights I'm at now in my Rev tent. So quite a bit of time, in the last couple of years in this thing. It's been with me in Mexico and all over the Grand Canyon and just everywhere. So I've really got to put it through its paces. But the cool thing about this tent and why we do this style of tent is there's other rooftop tents out there, and they're 80 to 120 pounds. I spent a year researching tents, lightweight tents that would do what we needed to do, and they just weren't out there. To add 80 to 120 pounds on top of something, but then you have to have a platform to mount it to that's going to add more weight. Just isn't practical. So these tents are 28 pounds with nothing in them. 4-inch mattress. They're 4 Seasons tent, triple layered. They're pretty nice for what they're doing. They're not huge, but they check all the boxes. They're 2-person. And with our gear, we have pillows, blankets, sleeping bag in there. I think it comes out at 34 pounds. I can throw it on the roof, strap it down. I've abused the heck out of this thing, and through the sand dunes, through the whoops. I mean, just like trying to get stuff to break, and it's been a game changer for what we've been able to do. I can have a bed in 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes.
Off the ground, which a lot of people don't understand. You know, we're out here in southern Utah where, you know, I was at Lake Powell 7 or 8 years ago, and I was sleeping on the beach in a tent, woke up, and I grabbed my chair that I just laid down the night before, my camp chair, you know, to not blow away because it can get windy out there. Mm-hmm. And I popped my camp chair up in a Sidewinder.
Oh no!
Was curled up in it, you know. And people don't realize, you know, rattlesnake in your gear, and so a lot of people who, you know, again, coming from the city and stuff like that, they probably feel a lot more comfortable elevated from all the scary things in the night.
Yeah, we can pitch them on top too. We actually do put them on the ground, but they all zip up and everything. So
okay.
There is, I say rooftop tent, and they travel up there and everything. They can be used up there, but I don't actually have the platform for them to be up there.
Because I'd seen the photo, I think it was up on the roof, you know, and I'm like, that's pretty gnarly, man. Because I was like, I'm 6'5", you know, it's going to be a little tricky, you know.
Yeah, so you could do it and everything, and there's guys that have bought them from us that have the platforms to do that. But again, that's added weight to where we're like, it's not worth.
Right, with the tour. I mean, you're a business. You're different. You've got to stay in, like I said, the regulations.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yep, we've got to stay underweight. Somebody else can do whatever they want, but for us, it's like we're weighing everything out. Yeah. And I mean, I could show you stuff on my phone where it's like this weighs this much, that weighs that much, crazy. And we add it all up. Nope, we got to take that out and move it to a different car. So it's a balancing act.
You know, and that's one of the interesting things, you know, is I'm sure when you were starting your business and going to jump into this, it's just something you don't even think of. You know, people always say, you know, I was up at this event and talking to some of these guys, telling them, you know, what we're doing with M42 Adventures. And it was funny because I'm sitting there saying, listen, this is what we're doing. We're going to take you, you know, on UTVs. We're going to take you on horses. We're going to take you on these events, teach you how to fly fish. And they all, like 7 out of 10 of them came back to, you know, how did you start a new business? Like, how did you do this? And it was funny because I think, you know, there's not a lot of entrepreneurial. I mean, there is a lot of entrepreneurial spirit out there and a lot of people wanting to do it, but a lot of people don't take the jump. They don't take the leap. And I think it's because they think, you know, that it's going to be difficult, which it is. But at the same time, you know, I had one guy telling me, he says, I want to start this business, but I'm not quite ready. And I'm like, how long have you been?
Be ready.
I says, how long have you been thinking about it? And he says, 2.5 years. And I'm like, what's holding you back? And he's like, I'm just trying to, you know, anticipate all the problems. And I'm like, you can't.
No.
And I'm sure when you jumped into this, you probably, you know, when you started, you probably thought these are the 10 things I got to deal with, a business license and insurance and a few things. And then you get into it and it's like, well, here's another 40 things you never even anticipated.
Yeah. And I mean, you've got more experience to that. I guess we'll come back. We need to come back to what we were talking about, right? Mm-hmm. You know, how kind of the business goes. For me, you know, I put mine off for a long, long time. I mean, we're talking, this was back in high school when the extreme dot tours, you know, at yahoo.com type.
And how old are you now?
I'm 38 now.
Okay. Yeah.
So, I mean,
so 20 years.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And I just, in the back of my mind, just kept doing work for people. I'm like, man, why am I not doing this? Mm-hmm. And then another business would sprout and why am I not doing this? You know what I mean? And so finally it was like, COVID was maybe a blessing for that because it gave me that like enough to just kind of step back and take a look at things and evaluate and go, man, you know, if this thing was real, I'd really regret not, you know, doing this. Like if, you know, something happened and, you know, whatever they said was going to happen with COVID. But so then, you know, it's just like, I don't want to live with that regret anymore. And I can't say that I'm done it perfect. We've got a slow start. I overanalyze stuff myself a little bit more, but I got to give props to my wife because she puts me in my place. I talk about, you know, all these different business ideas and everything. And like, I see my mind can go very many different directions. I'm sure, you know, our conversations, you've kind of had to bring me back, you know, just like we had here. But I think you just got to take the leap, educate yourself to a certain extent, but you'll just figure it out along the way.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's challenges no matter what you do. And I think that there'd be a lot more regret if something happened to me in the future and I never, ever took the chance.
And I agree. I just recorded a podcast with Ryan here this morning for Order Man on his podcast. And we talked a lot about that, about the number one regret on people's deathbed is not trying.
Yeah.
Not living their life, living somebody else's version of their life,
100%.
And if we know that, like you can't, you're not 90 years old on your deathbed, but you can go talk to, read a book about 1,000 people. If we know that that's their regret, why not take the chance,
Sure.
And it's, obviously you have to be smart. You have to, increase the odds in your favor by saving some money for problems and educating yourself, reading books, having mentors. Like you said, that was a big one that I talked about, your buddy who said, come over and try this before you go all in, all these different things. But at some point you got to jump.
Yeah.
And that's scary for anybody. This is, again, my 12th business. I'm scared. I don't know all the answers. It's a new, I've never started an adventure company. It's like,
figure it out.
But I'm confident in my ability to weather the storm with my finances that I have saved for this. And then I have a great group of people around me, including you, that are going to help me through the problems. When you came to our event last week, you showed up, you brought 6 beautiful machines, your trailer. I mean, everybody's taking videos and pictures of your trailer. It's insane. I mean, I can't imagine you driving down the road with that thing. You've got to just be, it's how tall? I mean, it's like 17 feet tall.
So it'll hold 4 of them. But we have 6, but so 4 4-seaters will fit on this trailer. So
it's a beast, man.
It's a beast for sure. But it makes it to where we can do weddings and, events like yours, different things, gives us flexibility.
Yeah.
It's super
So
awesome.
when you roll in, and you're like, okay, let's go through. I need everybody's driver's licenses. I need, you got to sign this release. And I'm sure you didn't have a lot of, you don't have that in place. You just don't know what you don't know, but you go and you cross off the, this and cross off that. And I think that's a good lesson for people to understand where, again, increase the odds in your favor by having, your finances set up. The number one failure of businesses is lack of capital. So we know that's in every business book. So have some capital, either a line of credit or some money saved. And then, get a mentor, get somebody that can coach you, help you out, and then educate, read through books, there's so much stuff online, talk to people. Most people who are successful will try to help you out if they can. But yeah, I love people like you, not just that you have a cool business. I admire people like you, because you... Hey guys, let's step away from the conversation real quick, and I wanted to talk to you about a few things that M42 Adventures is offering this year. First, I'd like to talk about our retreats experiences here in southern Utah. They will be on a 50-acre ranch, absolutely amazing property, and it's a place where you can come and learn from the experts in their fields, build friendships, and enhance your outdoor skills. We're going to have everything from fly fishing experiences, UTV experiences, horse riding, archery, survival experiences, hiking, outdoor cooking, firearms. It's absolutely amazing. We just had our last retreat a couple weeks ago. 33 people attended, and it was an absolute amazing event. If that sounds like something you'd want to come do, it's all inclusive, and I promise it will change you. So hopefully you can look into those dates. They are August 29th to September 1st and September 12th to September 15th. So look into that and see if those will work for you, and we'd love to see you out there. The other one is our Africa experiences. So this fall, we have 2 Africa experiences coming up, August 5th to the 11th and August 11th to the 17th. We've actually sold, I think, 19 places to those events, so it is filling up. But if you'd like to come out, again, it's men, women, children. I'm taking my wife and my 3 little boys, age 12, 9, and 3. So it's family friendly. It should be an absolutely amazing experience as well. It's not just hunting. You can come and do the photo safari, helicopter rides. We're going to go to an orphanage. I'm actually very, very, very excited about this one. So if that's something you'd like to come out and check out, I will be the headliner August 11th to the 17th, and Ryan Mickler will be the headliner August 5th to the 11th, and we'll be spending time, with you during that week and getting to know each other. So I would love to see you out there. Again, those are some of the things we have coming up. If that's anything you'd be interested in, we're also going to start offering corporate retreats, family group retreats here in Southern Utah. If you'd like to come out and have one of these experiences with the horses, with the UTVs, with the firearms, with the archery, and bring your company, your family, or just a group, we can cater it to you as well. So that's something new that we are going to start offering. We've got a couple of those in the works for this summer with some companies that want to bring their employees out and actually partner with M42 and have their own retreats. So just a few of the things we're offering. Again, we're excited about all this. If you'll continue to listen to the podcast, follow us on social media, like, share, follow. We sincerely appreciate that. All right, let's get back to this conversation. I love entrepreneurs. It's kind of
same to you, man. I love what you guys are doing.
I appreciate that. It's there's this like brotherhood,
right?
And it's like, I just see a young guy. I'm 43. You're 38. We're relatively close, and I'm rooting for you. It's like I'm, and you're rooting for me.
Absolutely.
And that's just, it's like a brotherhood. It's like if you're a football player and you run into somebody else and it's like, oh, you played college ball. I'm sure they already have a bond.
Yeah.
Because they know what it took to be a college football player.
Yeah. Well, this is not to go off on a tangent. This is needed. We're in a digital age and information age where, around every corner, there's information coming at you. And one thing I have to be really cautious of for me, and this kind of comes back to the business thing here, but there's a self-help and, somebody telling you how to do something at every corner and everything, which is great. And books all over the place, right? Where we can learn anything you want to learn. For me, I have to be careful because I have to take something and implement before I can move to something else. Mm-hmm. And it seems like I overwhelm myself with that because it's like, I've got this great idea. I need to just take in all this information and everything, which is great. You need that. But then when you take it in, it's the action part.
100%.
And I don't think there's people that act. They're just like, oh, I went to this Tony Robbins thing. I went and did this. I got this information. It's like, okay, cool. Now it's time to, kind of shit or get off the pot.
100%. 100%. So, me and Ricky were talking about that. You have a lot of people who say, I've read a couple hundred books. And it's like, awesome.
That's great. Implement.
You got to take the action. And that's, yesterday at the event, at Ryan's event, at the very end, they kind of said, hey, what did you take away from this? 25 guys, we're getting ready to wrap up. We have 20 minutes left with each other. They kind of brought us into a room and, they had us talk and they says, what did you take away from this? And I says, for me, a lot of the guys took away like that they enjoyed the shooting or the conversations or, the camaraderie, which was great. It was beautiful. But what I took away from it was, I says, there's 25 men in this room who got out their checkbook and signed up for a course, and they traveled from Maine and New York and Florida and San Diego and showed up. And I think that's what's lacking a lot of times is people, like you said, they want to change their lives, but they don't make the sacrifice. Everybody wants a six-pack.
Yeah.
But you don't go to the gym.
Right.
You can read 1,000 books on diet and exercise, but until you go to the gym and eat right, you're not going to be fit. Yeah. And so that's that's where, like you're saying, I 100% agree. And with what we're doing, together and separately is saying, listen, here's what we're doing. Here's our experience.
Yeah, experience. Yeah,
now sign up and come out and do it, and it will change you.
Yeah.
Reading about the experience or listening to this podcast is not going to change you.
No.
It's the education part, but until you come out and you spend a night in a side-by-side, and see the stars and hear the birds chirping in the morning and see your little boy get out of a sleeping bag.
Catching his first fish, man. That's what hit me up.
Yeah. Ricky, he said his daughter, who's 14, was at our event last week, and she caught a 20-inch, rainbow trout, couple-pound rainbow trout on a fly pole.
Awesome.
And she said it was in the top 5 days of her life.
That's so cool.
And I get emotional, I get emotional from that.
I got goosebumps.
Yeah, it's like a 14-year-old.
And I wasn't even, I was there, but I wasn't at.
Right.
I know that same feeling it just brings.
Yeah, you've had people that come and they're like, thank you, Kerry. That was, I'm changed. You can't watch the sunrise on the Grand Canyon. And again, like you're saying, a UTV, the beauty of the UTV is it takes you places that people don't go.
Yeah.
On a, in a pulling a 20-foot camper.
Yeah.
Or, walking.
That's pretty much our slogan is roads less traveled.
Yeah, I love it. So you can go and those, that's fine. That's, do whatever you got to do to get your adventure. I'm not judging, but the beauty of the UTV or the horse, we had the hiking thing, but it's like, if you get out there and you ride a UTV to the edge of the North Rim out, what's that word? Toro Weep or something?
Yeah, Two Weep or Toro Weep.
Two Weep.
Yeah.
And I've actually never done it. I've never done it. So I'm going to speak from, people telling me, but they tell me it changes you.
It's cool. You're in it. And then there's things that we stop and see along the way that you wouldn't get to see. We've got a couple pieces of private property on that one. Anyways,
right.
We're kind of,
yeah, it's the beauty of seeing like a turtle crossing the road,
right.
or even a rattlesnake. People, they think a rattlesnake's just this snake that is waiting to kill you.
Yep.
And until you're out there and you're in its territory, you're in its environment, you're driving down a dirt road, you see a snake crossing, you hop out, you watch it, let it go on by, and they get to see something that they just assumed was trying to kill you at every turn. And it's like, no, it's just being a rattlesnake. It's just defending itself. It doesn't want you to step on it.
That's exactly. It's funny. We saw one this weekend, the same thing. And my boy asked me, why are rattlesnakes so mean? I'm like, they're not mean. It's just rattling because it doesn't want you to step on it.
100%.
It's trying to protect
itself.
Cows
kill them all the time, stepping on them.
Exactly. And it kind of, I saw him turn his head sideways and like, I never thought of that,
Yeah, I never kill them. I that one that came out of my chair, I was with my wife and boys, I flipped it open, it flew like, by me, and I'm like, oh shit, rattlesnake. And, I was with some other people and they're like, kill it. We kill everyone we see. And I'm like, I don't do that. I'm like, I love seeing them. Obviously, and they're like, well, what if, you come out here one day and it bites you? And I'm like, then I'll deal with that when it happens. That's statistically not going to happen. And then I should survive if it happens. But I took it, I pinned it down with a stick, grabbed it behind the mouth, and took it down the beach 100 yards and put it away. And they all watched it crawl into a little hole. And so, like you said, I was actually on a hike yesterday with that group in Snow Canyon, and we were walking along and there was a cactus with the purple flowers in full bloom.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, dude, look at that. And they all get their cameras out and taking pictures, and it's just, so that's the point, like you said, the reason we have started these businesses is to change people. That's why I have.
I'm kind of selfish, I guess, in that aspect, because I think it feeds me
100%.
Sometimes more than it feeds the other people. And I need that. I have to have that. And, right now we're not making $1 million doing what we're doing. It's a hobby. You know what I mean? Right now. But I know eventually it's something special that people just need. And, that bond that's created with families, with friends, brothers, like you're saying, I'm not talking like, brother, like, but same blood, but we're all brothers and sisters. It just unifies us. And I love that. I mean, black, white, whatever, race you are, I've taken everybody out, and I've had people that I can't even understand, and we're smiling and high-fiving, and you know what I mean? And they understand what it's all about. And
just being human. It's just being human. Yeah. To the very basics. And until a lot of these people probably that are going to come on our adventures have never camped. I mean, you're going down to the basics. They've never cooked on a fire.
Very basic.
They've never seen,
exciting.
When we were up there in Pine Valley this weekend, we'd go outside in the morning. They got us up early to go do PT, which I hated. And
that sounds a little
and,
I'd be off my game a little too.
It was an hour and a half before daylight, and we're out there, but we walk outside, and I've just grown up here, and especially my cabin, how Apple Valley is.
Oh yeah, yours is beautiful.
But we walk outside, and half of them are like, look at the stars, and I'm like, and I look up and I'm like, you're right. And that's my history with travel, I believe, where I went and traveled for the last, 7 years, and people are like, why do you go with kids? Not why do you go with kids, but isn't it a pain taking your kids? And I'm like, I love it because I get to see the world through their eyes. And you take a little Chinese group, that's out of Hong Kong or, whatever, Shanghai, and they come over and go on a side-by-side adventure, and they're sitting there just looking at these stars. You're going to look up too. And you're going to say, wow, you're right.
And then they teach you too. I've learned so much from other people that come in that it's just been like, wow, everybody has something else to 100%. Give, even if they haven't done that. And it's like, I'll remember that.
Even cooking techniques, I'm sure you ran into some people that are like, oh, we're going to have this. Well, this is how I've done it. And you're like, oh, I've never had had something that way. And so, yeah, I just love it, man. I love what you're doing. Like I said, we don't know each other. I'm not even sure how I got connected with you initially, but I had called you a few months ago.
Yeah.
And said, hey, I've seen some of your posts. Somehow I was just following you. And I saw your posts and stuff, and I'm like, man, I just love what you're doing. Yeah. And I called you out of the blue and told you what I'm doing, and you said, hey, I'm all in.
Yeah.
I love the message. And then you came up and did an event last week, and that was the proof in the pudding, right? Where I'm real and you're real. I know a lot of relationships, it's like people say what they're going to do. They say what they're, they talk the talk, but not walk the walk. I showed up, I put my event together. I had the people there, and you trusted that, and you showed up, not ever having met.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because some of the people that you brought, a lot of them I knew already.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which, when you told me he was coming, I'm like, they're great people.
That's
all these
awesome.
people you're bringing are great
that's
people.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So the horse guy and
I knew.
paramedic.
Yeah.
You know what
Okay.
I mean? It's like, they're
true.
all from my neck of the woods.
That's true. Yeah.
It's cool.
So you showed up, you brought exactly what you said you were going to deliver, and it was an amazing day. We had a beautiful day. We went for a ride, crossing some rivers, shot some guns, had some good food. And, that's what it's about, right? That's what it's about for me is, the experiences, everybody says, why do you travel? And it's like, I travel probably 30% for the food. I love food and I love trying it. And then probably, 50% for the people that I meet, the little old lady in Italy that, we run into when we're hanging out at the park, and she wants to cook us some noodles, and we can't even hardly speak the language, but she loves my little bambinos, and
yeah.
And, and that's why I'm so passionate about this new adventure, which is M42 Adventures, is, to meet the people and to meet you, it's like,
yeah,
even just being here with you, it just makes my life better and fuller.
100%.
Yeah.
A relationship that who knows where it'll go.
Absolutely.
If you don't put yourself out there, this never would have happened, right?
Absolutely.
So you got to kind of take those leaps, and I've taken some good leaps and some bad leaps, but I find that when I listen to my gut, and I don't know if this is for you too, but I've gotten more in tune with
100%.
with that part. And I've got a gut story that goes back to a piece of property. We actually have cane beds that I used to drill a well. There's like a deep, connection that I have with my gut now, which sounds weird, but
were you went against it or you went with it?
I went with it, and it paid off big.
Oh, good. Good.
It's a tangent story maybe for another time, but this, when we talked and everything, I could just tell right away. I'm like, this guy 100% reflects what we're about. You know what I mean? We've got some great stuff that, both of us brings to the table, and who knows where it could go from here.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I feel the same way. And I after we had talked, like I said, I don't know how exactly I got met up with you, but after we talked, I started following you closer on social media. And like a month later, you went and did a fundraiser for was it women in the community?
We did. There's actually a little baby that was born without kidneys. So baby Isaac, we did a little fundraiser for her. And then another mom around Christmas time had an unexpected health visit, ended up at primary children's hospital, actually. And so we did some stuff for her and split proceeds. But yeah, it was a great event that we did. And we're working on our next event right now that we're doing. I love the charity aspect of things. It brings people together, a common cause. Again, being a little selfish, it gives me back more than I think I give. So we just keep doing them. We're trying to do one a quarter, not trying. I'm trying to take that word out. We're doing one a quarter.
Right.
And we've got some shirts ordered and stuff, and we just do the proceeds, and it's awesome. It gets people together.
Yeah. And I love it, man. That just shows who you are and where your values are, and so we need more people like you. This world needs more people that do this. And again, don't just talk the talk, they walk the walk. They are doers, and I'm a big doer, and I love other doers who take the chance and so yeah, I appreciate all that. Getting back to some of the basics here. So, or not even the basics, but some of the details. So, getting back to the UTV, do you have to have a license to drive them?
So Utah yes.
Okay.
If you're going to street legal drive one, it's a class 2. Anyways, yes, you're supposed to.
And that's, you can take them anywhere except for on a highway, right? Highway or interstate.
Yeah. So 55 miles an hour and over you can't do it in Utah.
But you can take them anywhere 55 miles. Because I see people going to get groceries in them now all over.
Yes.
Which is fun. I like that. It's a little wild.
To where, that $40,000 you spend,
exactly.
Well, I could justify it if I can use it to go and get groceries and
run around town.
Yeah.
I thought about that the other day. I saw a guy riding around. I see a little old guy here in St. George running around in it all the time, just by himself.
Yeah.
And but if you're out in the woods, you have to take a class, right?
Yeah. Utah implemented, it's a OHV off-road safety type course. The name of that exact course leaves me right now, but yeah, if you go actually with a guide with me, you do not have to have the course.
Oh, cool.
But if you come in and rent one of my machines or anything like that, or you get your own machine, even in Utah or not, you have to take this course. It's really easy to do, about a 45-minute course online.
And that just came because I have my Rhino and I haven't driven it. I've been traveling for years.
Right.
But if I want to take my Rhino and go out in the hills next weekend, I need to take this course.
You do.
Okay.
You need to take this course, print off the little certificate.
Anybody that's driving, basically. Anybody that's going to drive the vehicle.
And it's a good course. I mean, there's a lot of people are both ways on it. They're like, oh, this, change, right?
Yeah,
people
more. Yeah, a lot of people hate more.
But
what's the word? More regulation.
Regulation, yeah. But I can tell you from experience and being in this industry, I mean, I had an accident that could have been avoided if somebody would have taken this course. It wasn't.
They're not trying to regulate you. They're trying to protect you.
Right.
It's because, like you said, a lot of people who get these or rent them more. Yeah. If you buy it, you probably have a little more, a little more time in the seat or a little more experience, I would imagine, if you're going to make the purchase. But if you're renting one, you should have to take something because they're dangerous, man. I actually didn't ride in yours. I was filming yours.
Right.
Man.
Yeah, they're no joke.
You've got some upgrades in yours, do you not?
Yeah, so I mean they come out of the box with more power than you need. The ones we have are 200 horsepower. The power to weight ratio is like a muscle car. Like it's
a bullet bike almost, right?
It's ridiculous.
It's got some because they go like 70. What do they go?
They'll top out about 90
out of the box.
Yeah, out of the box. I mean they have a speed limiter and a throttle limiter and some stuff built into them, but that removed, I mean, your car, it's faster than you need to go.
Wow,
honestly.
That's unbelievable. I had no idea they'd go that fast.
And, they're 1,400 pounds, they're getting heavier, but the power to weight ratio with 2 feet of suspension travel too. So, which that's kind of where we end up having.
But that's not out of the box, the 2 feet of suspension.
No, that is out of the box. You can go down and buy one right now. 200 horsepower, 2 feet of suspension travel, the same, model that I've got and everything, which is more than.
Which is the Can-Am.
Can-Am, yeah.
I got a tickle in my throat here.
You're good.
See if I can get it out. Wow, I had no idea. Excuse me.
No, you're good. But that course is something I think that helps bring that into perspective. And when we get new people in that rent them, everybody.
So the Ready to Rides is the daily, weekly, whatever rental where they take them.
Yep.
And then the UTV overnights is where you take them on
the guide
overnight or 2 night or whatever.
Yep.
I love that, man. I think that's a great business model. Trails to ride, there's plenty of them around.
Oh,
I know they keep, again, I'm not in this arena, but from what I can see, it seems like they keep shutting down more than they're opening. Is that the case?
They do. Yeah, it's kind of sad, but that's kind of why we are permitted. I actually have a ton of different permits from the Grand Canyon, Arizona Strip, St. George, Kanab Field Office, and some other ones too we're working on getting. But that's kind of why we've gotten permits and everything, because we can show people how to responsibly use these trail systems. There's tread lightly is a great thing that, stay on designated routes and everything like that. And I'll be honest with you, growing up, I wasn't taught some of this stuff right out of the
either.
box.
I remember just going out through the sagebrush.
Yeah.
There was no really, it was just a different world.
It was a different world. And, for us to have this available for our kids and for it to stay open, we're just got to switch how this is going down, so tread lightly and then leave no trace. Those are practices that we really teach people. Just so, when you show up to a spot, you're either cleaning it up if there's stuff there, which we do a lot, and then leave it better than what we found it, because, we need to leave it to where you don't even know we were there when we left.
Yeah, I've done a lot of hunting, especially here in Utah, and there's nothing more annoying to me now, because we like I said, 10, 20 years ago, it was a different world. And there wasn't as many of them too,
Right. There was.
But now that everybody has an ATV or a UTV, it seems like there's been several times where, I'm up on top of a mountain, that took me an hour and a half to get up there, 2 miles up, or 2 miles up, not a 2 mile mountain, but 2 mile hike, to get up there, and some, guy will come cruising up on a UTV or a ATV, and I'm like, what are you doing, man?
Not even on a trail or anything.
Not on a trail, just and you're like,
yep, there goes.
First of all, there goes all the animals.
Yep, there goes the neighborhood.
And I've gotten after them a couple times. I've gone over there and said,
"Good,
what are you doing, man?
Too.
It's like, this is not allowed. You're ruining it for everybody else.
Yep.
You're the problem. I've gotten some pretty good arguments out there in the wilderness. And I tell them, I'm like, hey man, I've got it side by side. It's right down there on the road.
Yeah.
You can see it, and I had to hike my butt up here, and that's the rules. And there's a rule for a reason, because we don't imagine 20 guys up here on a side by side.
No kidding.
And, and so, and a lot of times it's somebody from out of state that just doesn't understand, whatever. But yeah, I actually like, and I'm sure that's explained in the course, the 45-minute course, a lot of that.
Yeah, that pretty much is kind of the foundation of what they talk about. And then there's some really awesome stuff that it's like, I'm so glad they put that in there. And I actually didn't get to go over it with the group, but if we are all in a side-by-side, we'll just kind of run a scenario here, and somebody goes by you, and this goes actually for your Jeeping too. They teach stuff about that. But if you go by and you have a group of 5 people and someone's coming the other way, you hold up, 5. And it's not like you're waving at them, but they need to acknowledge that and either, tell you what's coming, or hold up a fist that, says I'm 0 or I'm the only one in my group.
Yeah, because how many times have you come around a, turn and not expected somebody there, and it's almost a head-on.
Well, that's
where if you can say, hey, there's 3 more. They know to slow down and wait. There's 3 more, 2 more, 1 more.
Yeah. No, that's how
you get on some of those trails, man. They're narrow. They're narrow, and some people are cruising.
Yeah, that's how I busted this wrist, my nose.
Oh wow! Ran into somebody.
Yeah, somebody got signaled to and didn't slow down, and we were in low range, just kind of hanging out. Somebody filming in the back seat, and next thing we know, somebody smacked us head on, and it was a bad situation.
Yeah.
So
again, that's the reason they have
that's why they have it.
That's why they have the course.
Yeah.
So there are miles and miles and miles. I mean, hundreds and thousands of miles to ride.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's people that ride there's a ride that takes 30 days to complete. And,
that's crazy.
There's a Can-Am group that,
that's crazy.
They're in these things for 30 days, completing over 2,000 miles.
Around the U.S.
in their machine,
or in Utah,
around the U.S.
Wow,
yeah, it's pretty crazy. So that just kind of shows you
that's a bucket list.
Yeah, the trail system. Yeah. I mean their average speed on that trip or on that trip is like 60 or 65 miles an hour.
Just cruising.
They're just after it,
Yeah. Because I did, it was on ATVs, but 3 times I did overnighters where we did like 300 miles.
That's awesome.
It was when I was in my 20s, like 24, 25, 26. I think it was 3 years in a row. And I went with a group with like 8 to 12 of us. And we actually had a truck that would go ahead. We started in like, one of them was we started in Casharam, went up on Beaver Mountain, and then he'd meet us over here with like, all the food supplies and stuff and supplies and base camp. And I did 3 of them for 3 years in a row. One of them was over in Escalante. And it was probably one of the funnest things I've ever done. I've told my wife a dozen times, I want to go do that again. I did it. My cousin Colby was the one who kind of got me going into it. And then my brother Cody. And I don't even think I even had an ATV at the time. They just said, hey, we're doing this. If you can get one. And I like rented one or something. Awesome. I can't even remember. But it was out of my wheelhouse, but they put them together. They put all the trails. We'd stop at lakes and fish, not fly fish, but fish. And, we saw bears on the Escalante one, we saw doll sheep on the, or mountain goats, I think in Beaver they are. But it was amazing, man. And that's again why I'm so passionate. I want to do the horse ones as well, where we go out for 4 nights or 3 nights and 4 days. That's something that I think I've never done that.
Yeah, you got to count me in on those ones.
Okay, let's do it.
I want to do that too.
Wouldn't that be cool to just?
Oh yeah.
Hop on a horse, load it up with your gear, and go spend 3 nights riding.
Amazing.
It's just out of my wheelhouse. I haven't spent that much time on a horse ever.
Yeah.
But to have your horse, and this is your girl or guy.
Yeah, learn that world. I'd love. Yeah.
So we're putting those together. Obviously, we're gonna put more the overnighters with you together. So what's our time at, Ricky? How we sitting?
58.
About perfect. So I got a couple more questions for you here real quick. So obviously we're gonna meet and put some plans together for next year. This year we got the events in August and September for M42, which is going to be my events where you come in for the day and kind of run them through all things UTVs. I mean, safety, maintenance, loading, unloading, driving them, changing the tire. A thing I always hear a lot about is the belt, right?
Yeah, the belt. Yep.
The belts seem to kind of go, and I've always worried. I'm like, if a belt went on mine, I wouldn't even know where to start. But people can, you can change those in the field.
Yeah, in the field and stuff. Your machine's a little different. A lot of these now, they have them to where you can access them really easy because that's a regular item, maintenance item.
So fixing a flat tire, where the trails are. So I'm like I said, you coming out last week. I loved it. My boys, they rode in the cars.
Awesome.
They want to go buy one. They want us to buy one now. Your stuff is, everybody kept saying it's not like, there's people who have them. A lot of my family has them, but nothing like what you have. I mean, the headsets where you can talk, 4 cars and you can talk the first car to the back car.
Right. Yeah.
I was the ones I always were in. You could talk to your car.
Yeah.
Now, yours is everywhere.
It's like an experience. Like when because I grew up in that world and mechanicked and everything, I know everything about it, right?
Absolutely.
And so when I have something, you can't go back.
Yeah.
So I kind of, it's like, well, I can't do this without that.
Yeah.
I can't rob them of that experience or, this horsepower that, we need to get around the sand dunes. So
yeah. The cooler's in there. So we have lunch, we'll stop along if it's a one day or, it's just cool, man. And I'm excited. I know, it's gonna be great for us, and you're already doing it, so it's already your world. We're gonna build a community around it too, as well, so people can get in there and talk about the trails and the additions, all the add-ons and different things like that. So I'm excited. Tell people a little bit about, just real quick, how do they find you? What's kind of...
So readytorides.com with an S on the end. So ready to ride and then S, and then UTVovernights.com. And we do 1 to 5 night adventures, on UTV overnights, and then the day-to-day stuff for, rentals and the, guided tours that are daily tours and stuff, or it's all
here in southern Utah.
Yeah, in southern Utah, we pretty much serve the whole area. So if you have Airbnb or something you're staying at, and you want us to show up and take your family out, or you got a bachelor party, or a wedding event, or anything you can think of, we can put something together for you that speaks to that. Young, old, it doesn't matter. We've done women's groups, all sorts of stuff. So
I love it, man. Like I said, I'm excited. We're going to put together some events with M42, as a partnership here going forward. I'm hopefully going to release those here in the next few months for next year. This year we have August 29th to September 1st, and then September 12th to September 15th are the 2 dates for our adventure, our what's the word?
Experience?
Yeah, it's an experience at my parents' cabin, or my parents' ranch. So they have 50 acres. You'll come there, and then from there we'll take off and go up into the mountains off the property and do the rides, and we'll have a class. You're going to teach the class, obviously, like you did last week, and people can just come out and.
Yeah, don't miss out. I got to touch on that real quick. Your parents' place over there is phenomenal.
Isn't it crazy?
I went over there for a different event, and then when I found out that's where this was at.
Oh, you've been there before?
I'd been there before.
Oh, interesting.
And so when they said where it was at, I'm like, perfect.
I know where it's at.
When anyone says New Harmony, it's automatically what I think of now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Is that place, because it's so cool. So you guys don't miss out.
Yeah, everybody that came, just kept saying how the venue.
Awesome venue. The food was amazing. You guys, I didn't get to participate in every single thing due to some time, stuff that I had going on my end. But I know it was top notch, and just the stuff that I got to do was phenomenal. Thank you so much for having me out. It was really cool.
I'm glad, man, and I'm excited for what we're gonna do. I think we're gonna have a good relationship, and I'm excited with the future. So. If anybody has any questions, you can reach out to us, again, at M42Adventures.com. There's a chat on there. If you need, have questions about UTVs and want to get more in depth on some of the questions that we didn't answer for you on the podcast, get a hold of me. You can get a hold of Kerry. Again, we're here to just try to get you guys outdoors and get you guys, if you want to go buy a UTV and try it yourself, send me what questions you have, and we'll get them answered best we can. Because
we're all over social media, UTVovernights.com. That seems to be what everybody's doing, right, as a social media. So readyrides.com, UTVovernights.com, and then
all social media. Are you on Instagram as well?
Yeah, my wife runs a ton of that, and she just does a phenomenal job. So.
Well, man, I appreciate you making the drive over here in the studio, and I'm excited for what we're going to do going forward. So
I am too, man.
Thanks, brother.
Lot.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so there you go. That was my conversation with Kerry Burner. He is the owner of UTV Overnights. That's with an S.com, and Ready to Rides, again, with an S.com. As you heard, amazing individual, does a lot of charity work and just wanting to give people an experience, and that's why we fit so well together. We're going to be doing a lot of partnerships in the future. He's coming out to do my events here in August and September. Again, if you want to look at those, come out. UTVs are just a part of the experience. The 2 dates available now are August 29th to September 1st and September 12th to September 15th. So check out those dates, see if those work for you. And again, UTV experience, that's what he's going to come out and you're going to get a ride in these all day long and learn about them and all the things we talked about, as well as, fly fishing, equestrian, horses, archery, firearms. I mean, it's a good time. So we just had one a week ago, and they're amazing. So make sure you check it out. And I want to thank Kerry for coming over, spending a little over an hour with me in the studio. I'm excited for our future, and check out his social media, websites, and go from there. So thanks for listening. Make sure you like, share, all those things with our podcast and social media. We appreciate the support. Obviously, we're new and we're just getting rocking and rolling. So thank you so much for your support, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye.